Alright, in this tutorial we're going to talk about how we can get our enemy movement to either patrol like they are now, walk towards the player based on the X position, and or flee away from the player based on X position. So we're already in our enemy script. The first thing we're going to do is an enum, which is a collection of the same type of variable that are names. So I'm going to say enum movement type, and you're going to do the curly brackets, control, chase, and flee. Those are the three types of movements I think that our enemies will have. We're also going to export these values, these movement types, so that we can change them in our enemies inspector. So we can have some enemies that are chasing and some enemies that are fleeing, if you want. Make it switch it up. So we're gonna export our variable movement type. It's going to be our movement type enum, and we're going to set our default movement type to patrol, so that our enemies will be patrolling in the scene when we start. We are also going to need to reference our player. We need to find our player's position. So I'm gonna put that down here with our other variables. I guess I'm gonna make of our player, and it is of type node2d. So our player is a node2d. We are also going to want to set the value of our player in a ready function right away, so that we are able to actually refer to the value of our player's X position. So let's say player equal, let's get the tree from our scene, and let's get the first node in group players. That should get our player. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to make a new function to define where our player is going to face. I'm going to put this flow physics process. This is going to be called, I guess we could call it base player. Player term. Well, player position X is greater than our global position of enemy. And our direction is going to be equal to our sign multiplier. Otherwise, our direction is going to be equal to the negative sign. Why is it not like in this? Well, so if the object that we're looking at is not the player, we don't care. Also, if our player is in front of our enemy, we're going to want to move positively. Otherwise, if it is behind our enemy, the enemy is going to move negatively to move towards the player. So this is our new function that we have written. And because the player might be on a different platform than the enemy, your enemy might fall off of the platform, but these lines of code prevent that from happening. This is what makes your enemy turn around if it's at the edge of a platform. If we want to turn that off, because once we do this, our enemy is going to go to the edge of the platform if our player is on the edge, or on a different platform over here, and our enemy is trying to walk towards it. And then our enemy is going to start flipping back and forth because it wants to go to the player if it's chasing the player, but it's at the edge of a platform and it can't go any further. So if we don't want that to happen, I'm just going to move this to another function so that we can call that function or turn it off if we don't want to call that function. So I'm just going to cut that code, and I'm going to make a new function called avoid edge. We can just paste that code right there, and then we can call avoid edge, add it physics process. We're also going to add some new code to our physics process function. We are going to match our movement to the movement type that we have selected for our enemy in the movement type enum in our index. So if I save this as is now, go to our enemy and we check out our inspector, see that there's now a movement type dropdown with patrol, chase, or flee. So now we want to determine what happens based on that movement type in our physics process. So we're going to use something called match. We're going to match our movement type. So if our movement type is patrol, we want to pass because we already have our patrolling code. We already know how our enemy is patrolling. But if our movement type is chase, then we want to face our player in the positive direction. And if our movement type is flee, then we want to face our player in the negative direction. Beautiful. And the last thing we want to do is in this statement. If our velocity is 0, if the enemy's velocity is 0, if the enemy is on the floor, make him turn around and go this way. We also want to check if the movement type is patrol. Because if it's not patrol, then we want its direction to be based on where the player is. So if velocity 0 and is on floor and the movement type is equal to patrol. Oh wait, I think we gotta do this. We gotta check if movement type is equal to type patrol. Spelled global wrong, so don't mind me. Now if we go to our 2D scene, we can see that one enemy I've selected chase, one I have on patrol, and one is on flee. And we can see some of these guys are running towards me. If I go this way, this guy's definitely chasing me. He changes his direction to follow me. This guy's freaking out mad style. He's trying to run away from me. If I go over here, he'll start going that way. So what we can do to get him to not freak out is go into our script and we can not call our avoid function in our physics process function. And if I hit play, the guy that's running away from me is just going to fall right off the edge. He's going to keep running. Sorry. And now this guy that's chasing me can also fall off the edge. If you don't want them to fall off the edge, but you want them to chase you and you don't want them to freak out, you might want to change their velocity to 0 instead of making them flip directions when they detect an edge. You'll have to check that out in the script, but otherwise, this guy's gonna come and get me. See you soon.